Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Juwai IQI Canada Evening Talk. My name is Yousaf Iqbal, country at Juwai IQI Canada. Happy New Year to all our viewers. May this New Year be very, very peaceful, full of prosperity, and be safe for everyone. And we are back with our Maple Mondays. None other than our international investment advisor, Mr. Haroon Anwar. Hey, Haroon, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Yusuf. How about you? Happy New Year to you and your team.
Thank you
Delighted to
so
be
much.
here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Before we start, how was your holidays?
Holidays were fantastic, and I wish this whole situation with COVID would improve so we can
Yeah,
all enjoy holidays with much more ease, travel a bit more. But despite all the constraints, we did manage to have a reasonably good break.
that's amazing. As you rightly said, this COVID hopefully will end soon, and the life could get back to a very normal track, which it has happened, but not fully. I would say gone back to its complete lifestyle of what we were enjoying before. But
That's
keeping our
right.
fingers crossed, very soon that
That's
will
right.
happen.
That's right. Well, the good thing is, despite all of the challenges, I see a lot of resilience among people, and there is a general sense of positive attitude. I see increasing positive attitude among people, and they want to be able to get back to doing things normally, doing business, going back to schools, universities. Online has proven to be a good alternative for many, but I think the opportunity to resume life as what we call normal is on the horizon.
The social contact is very important, Harun, as you rightly mentioned. Online is good. A lot of time we talk about the studies to the Zoom meetings, but that social contact, uh, the human touch element cannot go away. Though things have got very better, you could do a lot of things online. But
Mm.
as you rightly said, that's important. So we got somebody who joined us here, Amir. Happy New Year to you. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live with Haroon. So Haroon, New Year resolutions. A lot of time people are thinking. A lot of people are coming to Canada. A lot of people who are in basically in a job are looking to see whether they should get self-employed, look at some of the franchise options. I know that you have a vast experience in terms of of some of the people who have owned franchises. So let's start our topic to a little bit, about telling about the franchise business by itself. First question is that let's start a little bit about the franchise business, and then we'll go to the pros and cons of looking at a franchise business.
Hey, so what an interesting topic that you have chosen for today's Maple Monday, and for Canadians themselves, and broadly for others as well. Franchise has emerged as a very suitable option uh, to start and run a business, and as you also pointed out rightly, for new Canadians who come to Canada, and whether it's a New Year resolution or a resolution for a new life, in either case, it is a very significant opportunity for the right individual to be able to start their life using franchise as a model. There is a huge array of franchise opportunities out there. Uh, I don't want to restrict it to large cities like Toronto or uh, Montreal, etc., Vancouver. Let's look at it in a much more broader context in across different provinces, across major cities of Canada, or for those listeners who are tuning in from places like the United States or outside,
Yeah,
would find that the opportunities on franchise space or the franchise world provides a good way to generate a good, steady income in a proven formula or a proven business model.
true.
So let's say I am a person who comes to Canada and I have limited knowledge of what the business environment is like. I have limited knowledge of the local regulations and laws. Yet I have certain skills that I want to put them to use, my managerial skills, my leadership skills, my administrative skills. So, how do I go about that? So, one option is, of course, the usual standard one is to go find a good job and try to get into my area of specialty and get an income generated. The second option is to start my general stores, small business, anything, maybe a tax, small tax consulting business, etc. Anything that would help me get started in this. But of course, I have to learn and apply that knowledge. And the third option, among many others, but a viable third option is to look for a good franchise where there's a proven business model. And depending on the quality of franchisor, see how I could get a head start in what I want to do and achieve. And that is an option which you will see a lot of new Canadians have taken, and it has become a path to prosperity for them.
So, you know, franchisor, the point you just now made about it, that, the reputation of franchisor, it's so important because a lot of time, people have this idea of franchising a business, starting a small business, and then actually going into the franchising that business. But when you talk about the reputation about a franchisor is so important. So anything like, somebody who's looking to get into a franchise business, what should they be looking at, Haroon? I mean, in terms of from the franchisor point of view, uh, as you rightly said, it's a proven business model which they can look at it. At least they know there's an income which will get generated. Though every franchise and even in the same franchise business, every location or every area is different and depending on the sales as well. So to start with the franchisor, how important it is, what should the people be looking at?
Uh, Very valid point. So I'm going to step back and say, before we look at the reputation of the franchisor, there are all different types of franchises available.
Yeah,
So most people think of food as the primary way of franchise. So the KFC,
true,
McDonald's, Burger
true.
King is franchises. But that's just in the food and beverage business.
Yeah,
We have franchises in, let's say, car, auto
yeah, yeah,
space. So like, oil change, etc.
true,
Furniture
true.
business,
Yeah, yeah,
uh, tax returns like H&R Block, etc.
yeah.
We have it across. I mean, I can just go on, and the list is so
Yeah,
vast. So
UPS, I've seen like franchise for
UPS,
UPS
yes,
as well on that. Yeah,
right, UPS and other similar mailbox, etc.
that's right.
These are all good franchises. So, first of all, as a person who's looking to get a franchise, should make a self assessment and say, what kind of business does attract me? Okay,
Yeah,
because if you tell someone to run a restaurant, whether it's franchise or not, and it's not something that they enjoy, it's
yeah,
going to be very difficult for them, or vice versa.
true.
So once they have established, then what they can do is they can tap into a lot of resources which are available. There are many franchise associations which provide amazing amount of information. There are a lot of good franchise specialists like professionals, lawyers, even specialized real estate agents
Yeah,
who can provide an immense amount of insights and knowledge into potential acquirers of a franchise. So again, on a journey, if I am looking to become a franchise owner and I have decided that, well, I want a franchise that allows me the flexibility to work 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I don't
yeah,
want a franchise of coffee shop that requires me to wake up at 5:30 in the morning or 4 in the morning and open my shop by 6 a.m., which, if you would remember, some of these coffee shops are open really early to start the
yeah,
day. Okay, whether it's a snowstorm or not, they are up there opening their shops at 6 in the morning, and they work late in night. They're still open. So it depends on our lifestyle and the kind of franchise model that will suit our requirements and needs. Once we have established that, then we look at the industry and the franchisors And that, as I said, information on a franchisor can be obtained from industry specialists, whether
Yeah,
they are specialized real estate agents, lawyers, consultants, or franchise associations who can provide that information. Then also the other franchisees who are in that business, they can provide a lot of insights and their experience on what they have found as a franchisor support to be. Now, the reputation is important because if we are buying into a business model, if we
yeah,
are buying into a specialized, it's like actually hiring a boss. Normally we talk about hiring an employee, but in this case, we're effectively hiring a
that's
boss.
true. That's true. That's true.
So, so franchisor is going to be the one who will guide us and tell us
Yeah,
on how to run our business effectively, how to be more profitable in our business, how
that's
to
true.
and this kind of how to is the support they will provide us.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, and if that support is not forthcoming, if their guidance is patchy, if their interest in our success is not the commitment is not there for our success, then it's very difficult for a new franchisee to be effective
true,
and
true,
successful in their business.
true, 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 true.
I hope it makes sense.
It definitely it makes a lot more sense because one thing, just second what you said, the franchise business is not always the food and restaurant business, which is the commonly mistaken thing. A lot of people talk about franchise. The first thing comes in their mind is the restaurant business by itself, and the success of a restaurant business, ups and downs happens, and a lot of people think like, oh, it's all about franchise, but there's so much many other options available on that. And second point which you made was a very valid point as well, that what kind of a it's hiring a boss, but at the same time the kind of a support system and the guidance they will provide you is very important as well, because they have proven system. For example, any franchisor is running about 10, given 10 franchises on that, so they would have a system in place. Yes, they are there to monitor. I remember one of my friends in Waterloo, he used to own a franchise business. It was a restaurant business, and apart from just being of providing the whole structure, they were also monitoring as well. The monitoring was there to make sure that everything as per the food cost, to what's being calculated and what they will be looking at. That proven model is there. At the same time, is also very important when you're choosing franchise business, is also to look at that, what kind of income you could get generated. Is this a franchise? Because sometimes you would buy into a franchise where you would probably be be working for yourself, but at the same time it's like buying a job. But
Hmm.
at the same time, if you are getting into the right franchise business, which has a proven success, and also if you are, as you rightly said, talking to industry experts, at the same time talking to the other franchisee owners as well, you would know a lot about their franchises, because a lot of times, all big names, everything looks good, but a lot of time, a lot of locations, a lot of things may not work in your favor. I remember that in a few years ago, when the UPS came in my mind, because I had one of my clients who was looking for a franchise business, and he did not wanted to get into a restaurant business.
Hmm.
So we were looking at different options. So we had an opportunity of looking at the UPS store and seeing, what could be there. And this UPS store was actually on a resale side of it. So this was a franchise owner who wanted to sell this business. Yes, when you're willing to sell the business, you still have to get qualified by the franchisor to go through the same steps, which is required in terms of the qualification of that. But there are options available, and that's where the real estate also comes into place. But
Hmm.
you rightly said the specialist in real estate, they are there to help you find out the right franchise, and not just looking it online, but actually looking some of the analysis as well in terms of the franchise business, the franchisor, the location, and Haroon, also I've come across where some of the time know a franchisor, you're looking for a franchise business, and they will say that, you know what, we want you to go and look for a location, and
Mm,
come back with a location there, and that still needs to be get an approval from the franchisor. But they
correct.
will ask the real estate agents to look for it. The reason they won't do is that because a lot of time the location might not be there. There's a full study which is involved with the location, depending on what kind of business you're getting into it. What's the how many count of people are going in and out of that plaza or in particular location on that. So that's also where the real estate people come in.
Absolutely. I think we can't overemphasize the significance of location here. Location, location, location. We have heard this so many times. But let's say, for an example, we were looking for a location for a oil lube change.
Yeah,
Okay. Now, do we pick it at an intersection? Where is the traffic high? Or are we going to pick it near where there are a whole lot more, uh, what do you call these showrooms, car
that's
showrooms,
right. Yep,
right?
yeah,
So do we go there if you're looking at a franchise model for rent a car business, okay, which is also a lot of times a franchise
true.
model?
Yeah,
Are we looking at a location where we see a lot of tourists? Because
that's
if
right.
that's a target
Yeah,
area, are we looking at people who are going to drop off their cars for repairs? Are they going to be looking at this? Are they going to
true.
be corporate travelers? So you're absolutely right. Depending on the nature of business, we can determine which would be the right option and where's the availability. And a real estate agent who has access to the information of potential um, locations, whether they're being sold or they're being leased out, etc., is immensely useful and helpful.
True.
Now, while we are on this topic, let me just highlight something which I think might be useful for the listeners. There's a huge temptation to say that a brand is not important and I can sell my coffee so under my own brand. So Haroon decides that he's going to have a lot of bakery items and coffee under his own brand rather than taking a well-known brand like muffins or
Yeah,
Second Cup or whatever, Tim Hortons.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
and what I have seen is that temptation is very high, but in reality, the sales somehow or the other do not catch up, and the cost of leasing the place usually far outstrips their ability to
yeah,
generate that profit. If you go to any location, right? I'm just I'm going to pick any food court centers or and look at just observe. I would recommend people just observe the line at a well-known brand
yeah.
versus a line at a generic brand.
True.
Okay, it's very obvious that people tend to gravitate towards well-known brands.
Agreed.
Okay, even though the quality may not be great, but they
Yeah,
know that the quality is consistent. Generally, the expectation is there.
true,
Okay,
true.
and in certain franchises, people don't even now say, coffee. I say, let's go to Timmy's or let's go to Tim
That's
Hortons,
true.
etc.
That's true.
Right?
That's
It's
true.
so people want to pick Tim Hortons because they know that when I get there, I'll get this type of coffee, I'll get this type of bagel, whatever they're
Yeah,
trying to
yeah, yeah.
purchase, they know what they're going to get. So in that case, Haroon as a brand doesn't have to work very hard to develop it.
That's
And
true.
while we are on the subject of Tim Hortons, a while back, Tim Hortons has a very interesting formula.
Mm-hmm.
So to make sure that all the franchisees are successful in a geographical location, and they're
Yeah,
just one every, if you notice, there's a lot of Tim Hortons within a
yeah.
few square kilometers of each other.
That's right.
So they would appoint an area manager. Tim Hortons would appoint an area manager
Okay.
whose salary or income was largely dependent on the success of franchisees.
Amazing.
Okay. So let's say if they have 10 franchises in his
Yeah,
area, right?
yeah,
And they expect each franchise to make, I'm just picking a random number, but on a monthly basis, $200,000
that's
sales. Okay.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
just picking.
yeah,
So on annualized basis would be somewhere around 2.4 million in sales.
That's right.
Just said, okay,
Yeah.
$200,000 of sales per.
Yeah.
Now, it was his job to make sure that each one of the franchisees was hitting the $200,000 target, which is the expected earning.
Amazing.
And if it was not happening, he had to troubleshoot it and help solve the problem, working with the franchise owner. And if he achieved those targets, would he get paid his salary as a commission of that? So
Wow. That,
that kind of a model ensured that the franchisor had a vested interest in
yeah.
the success of the franchisees. And that consistency we see when we experience it as a consumer, that when we walk into any particular Tim Hortons store, more or less you get a very consistent, regular experience. Okay. Yes, once in a while you will say, oh, your favorite muffin is not there, or something is not there, or favorite donut is not there. But by and large, you will find the time it takes to get served, the quality of what you purchase,
Yeah.
the availability of items you like,
True.
90% is there,
True. True. True.
and the
True.
size
True.
of the crew. So, who's making it happen? Of course, a new person who has taken on a franchise may or may not be very well experienced to
True.
know how many people he should always hire,
Agree.
how he can keep the driveway moving, right?
Yeah.
How to prioritize how many people, because if you notice, the driveway is very quick,
Oh yes. Oh yes. The
right?
drive-through has to be very very
Yeah.
quick. Otherwise, people get really mad if they're not getting there because they want a quick service immediately on that.
Yes. So all of this experience is basically distilled by the area managers of the franchisor
Mm.
who works with the franchisee. And that's why, coming back to the reputation of franchisor, the kind of systems, the kind of support, the kind of brand they bring becomes so much more critical.
That's true. And one more important thing here is the marketing and the advertising part of it because when
Right.
these successful franchises are advertising and marketing, they are marketing on a very mass level.
Hmm.
And as you rightly said, the word Tim Hortons second cup when we talk about and we just saying it for the namesake of it or UPS
Right,
for
right.
example. So you know that these are the reputed places where you will get what you're expecting and at the back of it they have done so much advertising and
Hmm.
marketing that it starts picking it up right away on that. For example, Timbits, my
Hmm.
son would say I need Timbits. So Timbits, you could get it at so many coffee shops, but
Right.
automatically his Timbits is Timmy's.
Yes, that's right.
So
That is so right.
that is the advertising and branding they have created automatically. Now, those timbers are available at, for example, Krispy Kreme. They are available at other, coffee shops as well. But that timbits and with the Timmies has just gone into their mind on that. So you rightly said everything that very important that if you are trying to get into your own business as compared, when you're doing comparison between a franchise business finding the right franchise business and the right support from the franchisor makes a big difference,
It
and the
does.
success is very important. And very well said that if you have an area manager who's looking after that his salary and his commissions are based on the success of those franchisees, then he will make sure, she will make sure that they are being successful. So that makes a big difference. Uh, Another topic which comes in a lot of time for business owners when they are getting into a franchise business is about financing. Uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
Again, if I talk about a restaurant business, or even a UPS business or any other business, one is yes, people are asking for a price, but a lot of time people want to know how much capital do I need to get put in, and how many times is the bank willing to do that? With your banking experience, what do you think in terms of financing what people are looking for in terms of their options or and then we'll go into some specific generalized specific details on that.
Yusuf, this is so fascinating. As we just touched upon, first of all, the personality, right? So the individual who decides that whether they want to start up their own small business or they want to go down the franchising route. Okay.
Yeah.
Then once they go down the franchising route, it's the location they pick, the franchisor they pick, the kind of franchise they pick, etc. And what you will find that among all the major Canadian banks, okay, plus the specialized lenders like BDC is specifically
Yeah.
aiming to support the SME space. Okay, that's their mandate,
Yeah.
and the small business owners, among other things. And then Royal Bank of Canada, Bank of Montreal, Scotia, CIBC, all these banks, okay, I can go on the list, all have some kind of a specialized program to
Hmm.
support the small businesses. Now, here's the thing. If I'm running my own small business, the bank would have to evaluate my business model,
True.
that if it's going to be profitable or not. They
Yeah.
will evaluate my experience, that
Yeah.
will I be successful in it or not. And then they will determine how much can they provide in terms of financing and what kind of collateral they will need, etc., from me
Yeah.
to be able
Yeah.
to support the business I want to run. Now, here's the big thing. It's an At a large degree, it is an unproven business model because I
True.
am still a relatively new entity.
True.
Now
True.
we compare it to a franchise business model. So what
Yeah.
happens? It's a proven business method. By and large, there's a huge um, array of what a successful franchise should be generating in terms of revenue.
True.
And this information is available to the banks.
Yes.
So now what happens is when I walk into a bank, into their specialized financing department that specializes in financing franchises, they will ask very basic questions. Okay,
Yeah.
so which area? So I say Kitchener, Waterloo, wherever I have decided.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, they'll say, okay, what kind of franchise will you run? All right, I'm going to run this kind of franchise. They will just generally profile me to see have I got the right credit background. So I have not declared bankruptcies or anything like that.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, have I got the right kind of profile to be
Yeah.
able to run that kind of franchise? And even though the franchisor may have pre-qualified me for that, the bank
True.
still wants to make sure, if
Of
I'm talking
course.
about, let's say, UPS, that I can have
Yeah.
basic knowledge of writing in English, etc.
True.
Okay,
True.
whether I'll
True.
be the owner manager or will I be a distant owner. So owner manager gets higher points because
Hmm.
I do not only own the franchise, but I manage it,
Yeah.
versus I'm an owner but I don't manage it. Right.
True.
So all those things are determined and experienced. And then the banks are more comfortable to provide financing to proven successful franchise models in comparison to the ones where they have to determine whether I'll be independently successful or not. Okay.
Agreed.
Now, there are, so of course, the major Canadian banks, they have specialized programs to support that. And BDC also has specialized programs. So they provide small business financing,
Yeah.
and I think the amounts vary, but I believe nowadays anywhere between 100,000 to
That's right.
250,000.
Yeah.
There's a huge range and different conditionalities apply. But let's say if I'm going to go for a $400,000 franchise business, and I'm able to get anywhere between 100 to $250,000 of financing support,
Yeah.
that's a very good start.
True.
Okay. And a lot of times the franchisor will provide financing support
Yeah.
because they have specialized programs,
Yes, they do. Yeah.
um, and they do some kind of a layaway with they give the new starter franchisee a bit more break so they can get business volumes up to a certain level before
Yeah.
they get started. Similarly, the banks will also ensure that they're successful. So, for example, if I'm a first-time franchisee, there might be different conditionalities
Yeah.
versus if it's my third franchise and I have proven
True.
record of two successful running successful franchises prior to that.
True. True.
Okay, so the good news is that if I am looking to get into the franchising business, financial support is available. Uh, in a lot of cases, quite generous financial support is available from the banks. And the franchisor provides a lot of support. So, good, popular franchise programs are recognized and are able to get better quality financing from these institutions.
Very
And
true.
then as a franchisee, I'm able to demonstrate and grow my business, and with a proven track record, then go from one to two to three. So a lot of franchisees you would have seen, once they're successful in running a certain type of franchise business and they've understood the ins and outs, they will go ahead and replicate that in buying
That's
two
true.
and three. And over a short
That's
period,
true.
I mean, I've seen people go from one franchise to five or six in some
Yep.
cases within a short period of 5 years.
Yeah.
So now imagine if, again, these are just hypothetical numbers, and
Yeah.
the rule of thumb is that uh, from the gross revenue to
Mm-hmm.
your net income, gross revenue, which is just the topmost line, to
Yeah.
your net income, which is your takeaway, is about 10% of that. So if I'm doing gross revenues of 200, sorry,
2 million.
that's a 2 million,
Yeah.
and the 10% would be my takeaway
2,000.
net income,
True.
right? But now, if I'm replicating my business from one franchise to four
Yeah.
franchises,
That's
I'm
right.
actually replicating my net income. And it's the
Sure.
same business model. I can have my four franchises in a reasonable amount of, like, within a neighborhood. So I can drive around and go to each shop during the day and
Yeah.
have people running there. So that's what makes franchise business so attractive. You can just, and all of that with financing support from financial institutions.
Very true. You summarized it so well to my other question, next questions as well. Uh, the loan part is so important, depending on your franchisor as well. I really like what you said about the training part of it. So a lot of these good franchises will have training programs for people to get into a business. You have to go to a certain training program from their side. When you go through the training program, and when you go to these banks or financial institutions, who are you coming from a reputed a franchisor who's got multiple, franchises business in place, your loan process definitely becomes much more easier, as you
Mm,
rightly said, because they know that what the overall financial has been for the company, and
mm,
also these steps which they've taken in terms of making the other franchisees very successful. Another very good point you touched is that some of the time you have these banks already lined up by the franchises. So one of the important things to also is probably to ask certain questions to your franchisor is that how much loans, of course, subject to the subject to your credit score, which is very important, and subject to your personal liabilities and things like that. But those are the questions you could always ask. Will they help you in financing? And as you rightly said,
mm,
a lot of times there are so many options available already in place when you're going through that. Interestingly, just while I might be backtracking a little bit on the location part of it, I was talking to somebody who's running a very successful shawarma place over here, and he said, you know what? We were talking about some of his investment properties just about a couple of months ago. He said, I'm looking to open up another franchise in Milton. Yusuf, but you know what? The problem is that I can't find a location. If you can come up with a location, let me know. I know, and this is the guy who's done one business, as you rightly said, replicated the whole model. He's so happy, so excited that he wants to get into a second business, looking for a location. He says, "This I've already just asked my franchisor to actively look at it. But if you come up with a location, do let me know. These are
mm,
my requirements. This is my criteria. This is my area." Because a lot of times, zoo specialized agents would know something which they would not know it on that. And he is willing to. And I was asking him, like, how's the business going on? He said, like, the business is being very good. Yourself. Not only I'm looking at the second one, but I'm also planning to and plan another two more after opening up the second one on that.
right,
So
right.
you rightly mentioned that.
Yusuf, I think this is to your point of Milton as a geographical location and others, is a good starting point is a good real estate agent also.
Yeah.
Because one of the things real estate agents specialize in is knowing the neighborhood, knowing the location, knowing the geographical layout, knowing what the new developments are going to be like in that area. If a new mall is opening up, which is going to create traffic, because one of the success of businesses is that we need traffic, we need people. Okay, uh, business in a remote location may not see the traffic, but if you're in the right location, you will see the traffic. And that advanced knowledge and that advanced information creates opportunities for business people, whether they're franchisees or small. So they're always, I think, real estate agents should be one of your best friends always, to know what's coming. Now, the part related to that is also whether one should start a brand new franchise or maybe buy a running franchise.
Yeah,
Okay? And there are various reasons why an existing franchise owner may decide to sell their franchise business.
true.
Even if it's a good running franchise business, events happen in our life.
Yeah,
The franchise owner may decide to retire. The
true.
franchise owner may decide to sell that business because they're physically moving to another location.
Yeah,
They may regrettably pass away, or and their children don't
true.
want to inherit that franchise business.
True.
Okay, so a number of factors play that role, and usually for such type of franchise businesses, you will see real estate agents play a huge role in helping find a good buyer of a running franchise business. So it's
Very
not
true.
always having to start from scratch. You can actually know that if I take over this business from another franchisee, I would probably be able to generate similar kind of income.
Absolutely. And there's also a lot of time there's off what we call as off market properties or off market business for sale as well.
Hmm.
Because a lot of time this people know people, right? And agents knows what's going on in the market. A lot of time, you're stopping by, you're meeting a lot of people, and you have clients who probably want to sell out their franchise, but they're thinking about it. So as you said, real estate agents are a very good starting point because a lot of times things may not be available in the market,
Right.
but they are there at the back end because people are talking about this that they need to, they want to sell it off, or an owner who's going to retire. Very interestingly, again, some of the people I know who were into convenience store business, and these are like talking about like big stores. A lot of time they would end up buying a store because the vendors would tell them this particular store owner is about to retire,
Hmm.
he's looking for something like that, and through the real estate agents as well who are going on that specific place that there are businesses available on that. So as you rightly said, not necessarily you have to start from the scratch in
Hmm.
getting up a location, and the risk is always there,
Hmm.
sometimes because you don't know, like, how it would materialize, especially if you're going into a full retail business, that what kind of a traffic flow you will have, how long will it take for the
Hmm.
business to go up. Sometimes it's better to even get into a running franchise business.
Hmm. That's
Amazing,
right.
Haroon. Anything else you want to add to our conversations? Always a pleasure talking to you. So much knowledge, so much information. I really enjoyed the sessions.
Yusuf, so do I. I think, and for me, Canada has a very special place in my heart. I think uh, the new Canadians who are coming to Canada, they're coming with a lot of hope, a lot of promise, and starting this year with that kind of hope and promise is a good indicator that we are kicking off on this subject of franchising. This is a world we are living in where we have to take control of our own direction, life's destiny, and this kind of business opportunity that franchising presents is something where we can help a lot of our clients, and a large portion, as we have been
Yeah,
discussing, a large portion of a good franchise business success is around the real estate.
that's
Okay,
right.
the location, and we can certainly help our clients, our listeners, and people who want to be able to become successful in this new year. They've come to the right place. And
Awesome. So they go. Yeah, go ahead,
yeah,
please.
go ahead, please.
No, no, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. I was
Now, I
just going
was
to
just
bring
going to
up.
say that Kashif's message on New Year keeps popping up, so we must acknowledge that.
Yes, that's what I was going to say on that. Happy New Year, Kashyap. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. So, thank you so much, audience, viewers listening to us. If you have any questions, any comments, looking for any information, or any other topic you want us to discuss on our Maple Mondays, because the good thing with Haroon is that we always try to come up with some very creative topics, which a lot of people may know, may have knowledge, or a lot of people don't know, have information about it. And we've been getting a lot of good response from our audience on that. So thank you so much, Haroon. Really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Pleasure talking
Yusuf.
to you. And I'll see you again next month on our Maple Mondays. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Yusuf, and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Take care. Bye bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.